Millions fixed their eyes to the skies today to see the total solar eclipse plunge North America into darkness. For centuries the public has been plagued with stories about the possibility of a second moon. However, these tales often sifted away as soon as they materialized for lack of concrete evidence. This era has come to an end because a shocking discovery just landed on scientists' laps, and they can't believe their luck. A new chapter opened when a recent solar eclipse unveiled the possible existence of what many doubted and felt was impossible. Alas, it appears to be the truth. There might be a second moon. Some scientists believe that the second moon is out there and flourishing just like the other moon orbiting our planet. What are the uncovered evidence that hints that we could have a second moon? If it isn't a second moon, what then is this mysterious object orbiting the Earth? Music. Our solar system is littered with hundreds of moons orbiting the different planets in our cosmos. Most of these natural satellites can be found in the orbit of giants like Jupiter and Saturn. As fate would have this story to be written, our planet contributed just one natural satellite to this famous list, which is known as the Moon. Like a jolly good neighbor, the Moon has stayed with the Earth for as long as the planet existed, sticking with it through its life's history and creating memories together. Although the love story between the Moon and the Earth looks like one scripted from heaven, some scientists have informed us that things are not the way they seem. In a striking and thrilling chain of revelations, researchers have opened our eyes to a brand new perspective on this subject matter, forcing us to reconsider what we have held to be facts. Our world's history is being rewritten right before our eyes, with the latest findings being brought ashore by the ever-brilliant scientific mind we have on our planet. This stunning revelation has sent shock waves across the scientific community, as everyone has been saddled with answering the latest unyielding puzzle. Is the Moon the only natural satellite orbiting our planet? Although it appears that this rising scientific school of thought started recently, some experienced astronomers who are astute students of history have come forward to correct this notion. They revealed that the seeds of this thrilling astronomical hypothesis were planted ages ago, long before almost everyone living on Earth was born, as far back as the 19th century. Certain astronomers have made intriguing statements where they claim to have discovered a new Earth's moon. These announcements often rattled the astronomical community, as it meant that we would have to revisit what we thought was possible. For instance, in 1846, French astronomer Frédéric Petit took the world by storm when he announced that he had discovered a second moon. As soon as Piet's supposed discovery made it to the news, it garnered immense attraction, and like ants running toward sugar, everyone rushed to have a feel of his findings and confirm their validity. However, Petit's newfound fame didn't last long, as many of his peers dismissed his discovery for lack of substantial evidence. If we were going to believe that a second moon had appeared from nowhere, then this astronomical story had to be backed with hard facts that weren't easy to sweep under the carpet. It was easy for astronomers to trash P.S. discovery about an alternative Earth moon in the bin, because he had placed the supposed moon at a distance of only 11.4 kilometers from Earth. This idea sounded like a rude joke to the ears, because the distance is roughly how high commercial aircraft fly. This was the discovery's Achilles heel. It doesn't make sense that a second moon would be in that position, and we wouldn't have run into it all this while. Moreover, at such a close distance, there is no way we wouldn't have felt the effect of such a second moon. Except, of course, if it was a magical moon. This tale of interesting announcements of a new moon discovery by scientists progressed across Europe, settling at the doorstep of German scientist Dr. George Waltermath. In 1898, Homburg-based scientist Waltermath happily announced to the public that he had uncovered the location of a second moon. However, Wolf's story takes a more intriguing turn when he reveals that he has also discovered a system of tiny moons orbiting the Earth. This story began when Waltermath decided to investigate secondary moons based on the hypotheses that something, an unseen bod, was gravitationally affecting the moon's orbit. Wolf grasped the attention of everyone when he described one of the moons as being 13,000 kilometers from the Earth, with a diameter of 700 kilometers. Interestingly, this supposed moon had a 19-day orbital period and a 117-day synodic period. The public was hooked when Waltermath announced that this particular moon didn't reflect enough sunlight to observe without a telescope except for certain teams. Wolf mesmerized everyone further when he made several predictions of the moon's next appearance. According to the German scientist, the moon shines at night, like the sun, for only an hour or so. However, like his French colleague Petit, scientists were unable to confirm Wallot's discovery. There were too many plot holes in his supposed findings, such that his peers had a hard time building a concrete discovery on it. So they branded his discovery as false. American scientists weren't left out of this golden search for a second moon. For instance, astronomer Clyde Tombaugh, who had discovered Pluto, also took his shot at uncovering a secondary moon. He spent years researching the possibility of another moon. Tombaugh had been commissioned by the United States Army Office of Ordnance Research to investigate if there were near-Earth asteroids Or not. After spending years working hard on his daunting task, Tom released a report in 1959 confessing that he had found nothing as optimistic as he had been about this second moon. Investigation journey. The adventure had been unsuccessful, confirming that there was no pride at the end of the tunnel before Tombaugh even embarked on his research. Canadian weather expert Eat Stone Wiggins had made a thrilling revelation that enthralled the minds of many in North America. According to Wiggins, the cold spring of 1907 was due to the effect of a second moon, which he claimed to have first seen in 1882. Wiggins hadn't taken his perceived discovery lying down and had wasted no time in publishing his findings in 1884. The find was documented in the New York Tribune, and from what Wiggins wrote, this second moon was a prime suspect in the cause of an anomalous solar eclipse of May that year. Wiggins went further to state that this second moon was likely the green crescent moon seen in New Zealand and later in North America in 1886 for periods less than 30 minutes each time. He hypothesized that this second moon had a high carbon atmosphere but could be seen occasionally by its reflected light. One of the highlights of Wiggins's revelation was his claim that this second moon was the same one that Waltemo had seen in 1898, over a century after. During the eclipse of 2017, scientists and observers couldn't believe their eyes when they spotted something strange from some of the pictures. We could see a mysterious double moon glittering in the desert. This supposed finding got everyone talking as the press began to hint at the possibility of a second moon. However, the light to this growing narrative was quenched when scientists dug further and confirmed the possibility to be false. It wasn't a second moon. What appeared to be a double moon was indeed the shadow of another planet that had been cast on the Earth during the solar eclipse. Based on these past attempts and false discoveries, the popular hypothesis in the public domain is that the Earth has no second moon. However, this would be one myopic way of looking at the whole story, especially when we bring to light the perspective that over the years we have found out that our planet has had many moon-like objects. What's more exciting is that there is a high chance that the Earth has more of these moon-like objects than we can imagine. If we are going to take a swipe at this shimmering possibility glittering in our faces, then we have to start from the beginning. By beginning, we are talking about 4.5 billion years ago, when the Earth was birthed thanks to the series of activities that occurred after the Big Bang. As of the time the Earth emerged from nothingness to become one of the planets of our solar system, it had no moons. It was a lone ranger keeping to its distinct position in our cosmos, and was determined to go through life on its own without any distraction from a neighboring natural satellite. However, like a pack of cards that spilled on the floor and had to be picked up and rearranged, this thrilling cosmos story was rescripted, excitingly changing the course of the Earth's destiny. The historic change that entered into the picture is based on the giant impact hypothesis that a Mars-sized protoplanet, which went by the nickname Theia, collided with the young Earth. As expected, this collision changed everything as the once lonely existence of the Earth was altered and a new dawn was birthed. The collision had caused large chunks of debris to be blasted out into space, and these materials began orbiting like orphans in the cosmos, but it wasn't going to be for long. This is because the orbiting material soon coalesced and formed the impressive moon that captivates our night sky today. This is the story that has been chronicled in the history books and will continue to be told centuries from now. Nevertheless, some astronomers believe that there is a different perspective. Mainstream history ignores one that is constantly beckoning for our attention. According to these astronomers, there may have been another moon keeping the Earth company in its early years, way before this present moon arrived in the picture. They are convinced that the impact with this other moon may help shed light on the unanswered questions of why our moon's near side is low and flat, and is dominated by volcanic. These distinguishing features of the near side cannot be found on the far side, which is characterized by a mountainous and deeply cratered geological structure. Nevertheless, we shouldn't jump to the conclusion that this is the answer to this long-running puzzle, because other processes may explain these distinct observations on the moon. Therefore, the other moon idea is still a hypothetical answer until we uncover more concrete evidence that tilts the tide in its favor. From all indications, it appears that the moon is our only natural satellite. Despite all the failed and mistaken attempts at uncovering a second moon, still this story is yet to reach its eclipse, because other strange, captivating objects have been discovered in orbit around the Earth. For instance, in 1991, a small object that initially bore semblance to an old piece of NASA Apollo hardware was discovered close to the Earth's orbit. On further investigation, scientists found out that this object wasn't an offshoot of NASA's spacecraft, but of natural origin. In a matter of time, this mysterious object became known as a second moon of sorts and was nicknamed 1991 VG by scientists. However, in hindsight, this object was nothing close to the magnificence of our moon. Scientific investigations revealed that the object was simply 10 m in diameter, But an intriguing feature about this object is that it was the first of its kind to be gravitationally bound to the Earth at least for a short period, hence this made it a mini-moon in the books of astronomers at the time. Nevertheless, as the days evolved into weeks and weeks into months, it became clear to all and sundry in the scientific community that 1991 VG was a temporary moon. Astronomers arrived at this conclusion when it was discovered that the moon only orbited Earth for a few months, wiping away whatever lofty notions they had harbored about this mysterious object. 1991 VG is one of the many temporary moons that have been discovered in recent times. This has made historians reopen the pages of Frederick P. and George Wall's works as scientists. It appears that these men might have been up to something, and that the years they spent investigating second moons could have led them to temporary moons. There is a possibility that the discoveries these famous scientists published as second moons had been temporary moons. This alluring story gets more scintillating when we consider the fact that the earliest mention of a temporary moon occurred in 1913, when an odd and still puzzling parade of meteors captured the night sky in Canada, the Northeastern University, and extended down to Brazil. The origin of this historic event, dubbed the Great Meteor Procession of 1913, is an unsolved puzzle that even the best of astronomers have been unable to unravel. It's been over a century since this event took place on our dear planet, yet the indelible memories it created in human history are yet to be wiped away. Nevertheless, astronomers haven't been lazing around and have attempted to answer this troubling question that arose from this one-of-a-kind event that appeared without forewarning. Some astronomers have theorized that it could have been a short-lived natural satellite of the Earth. They believe that it could have been a temporary secondary moon that is partly burnt up in the Earth's atmosphere. Research has opened our eyes to the wonders of these momentary moons, as they have been captured by the gravitational field of our mighty Earth, and hence they have become our planets. Natural satellites, but unlike other moons that we know of, these objects will eventually leave the Earth's orbit or collide with our planet itself. This is one shocking reality we have come to accept about these mysterious objects that often make themselves into objects. Furthermore, scientists have gone the extra mile to clear our doubts as regards temporary mini-moons. They have revealed that they are not the only moon-like objects that have taken to orbiting our enchanting planet. We see evidence of this in a 1961 report that got the entire scientific community reeling in surprise. It turned out that this report announced the discovery of so-called ghost moons. This scientific news came as a shock to many astronomers and was the headline topic in discussions for several weeks. We hadn't heard anything of this sort before. This novel finding had walked right into the room and magnetized the attention of every scientist worth his salt. Everyone couldn't help but examine and re-examine the expository details of this historic report. From the report it emerged that these ghost moons, also known as Cordy clouds, had been reported as dust clouds too faint to be seen with the naked eye. They were also said to have orbited the Earth on the same path as the moon. The existence of the ghost moons remained a subject of debate and held the scientific community bound by its controversial clause for nearly 6 decades. It wasn't until 2018, when a silver lining appeared and this raging dark cloud that has overshadowed the astronomical world was finally put to rest. This 2018 discovery got many people riled up because it was finally proved that ghost moons existed. Skeptics couldn't believe their ears, while believers were ecstatic, basking in the excitement that they had finally been proved right. The dogged and inquisitive spirits of astronomers helped us uncover that these colossi clouds are enormous and almost 9 times wider than the Earth. Furthermore, we found out that these clouds are composed of individual particles that are measured to be just a micrometer across. When sunlight reflects on these particles, they are transformed into a cosmological wonder because they glow quite well. Nevertheless, they are difficult to see and are extremely tenuous. On second thought, if we probe further at their features, they hardly seem to qualify as moons despite orbiting the Earth. As fascinating as dust clouds seem when it comes to objects orbiting the Earth, they are still pale in comparison to some other space rocks. These space rocks which appear to orbit the Earth are more affected by the Sun's gravity, and they are known as quasi-satellites or quasi-moons. These objects distinguish themselves by not following the Earth's orbit. However, when scientists studied these objects further, they were confronted with the surprising finding that these objects do take 365 days to orbit the Sun, just like our planet. This is why it seems like they are in orbit with the Earth, despite being mostly out of the planet's gravitational sphere of influence. Likewise, scientific investigations have presented us with another set of enchanting moon-like objects, which are famously dubbed Earth's Trojans. These Trojans don't necessarily orbit the Earth, but are found to move along the same path right in front or behind the planet in locations called range points. These Range points are places in our solar system where the gravitational pull of any two planetary bodies as well as the motion of their orbits combine to create an equilibrium. Another way to look at these designated locations is that they are points in space that are gravitationally stable. Ace and RERs have made us understand that whenever we send objects to these locations, they tend to either stay there naturally, or can be kept there with minimal energy. This intriguing behavior can be traced to the fact that the forces are in balance. Furthermore, it is exciting to know that NASA has been proactive by taking advantage of these range points, especially using the famous James Webb Space Telescope JWST, the JWST or at the Sun at range point 2, and this peculiar position equips it with the ability to stay in line with our planet as the ladder moves around the Sun. Thanks to this peculiar location, the Webb telescope can maintain that orbit using minimal fuel, which is seen as a big win for NASA and the scientific community at large. Over the years, scientists have only discovered 2 Earth Trojans, and they were both spotted at range point 4. So these Trojans are small, with one of them only being 400 m across and the other 1 kilometer, yet there is a high chance that they will become significant to us in the future. Scientists are optimistic that these locations might be ideal places to build bases for advanced exploration of our solar system. Another opportunity presented by these locations is that they could be mines housing great natural sources that would be useful to us in the future. Some astronomers have opened our eyes to the fact that these sites are potential bases for quick-budget robotic space probes. Thus it is crystal clear that these locations should be treated as prized possessions. Let's not forget that they could provide bases to run early experiments on asteroid mining. This is because tests could be sent up and retrieved much more quickly than a typical mission sent to the asteroid belt. Without any iota of doubt, it is evident that the Moon is our only natural satellite, even though for centuries now some astronomers have alluded to the possibility of a second moon. Nevertheless, research has brought to our understanding that we have many moon-like objects that are temporarily aligned to our planet. As interesting is the fact that these many moons come and go from time to time in the Earth's history, there is a growing possibility that we could one day explore these objects and make the best use of them. The ball is current in the court of scientists and astronomers alike. Let's see what they uncover in the years to come. We might just end up setting up several technological bases and many Earth colonies in these locations before the end of this century. Hopefully that day draws closer than we can imagine. Thank you for watching another episode. While you are still here, click on the video on your screen to see more mind-blowing videos like this one.